So with both of the cores done and sitting nicely over there with the pins, it's time to focus our attention now on the head pipe. So the first things that are going to have to go are the floorboards. I know the driver's floorboard is going to have to go. The question is, do I have to take off the passenger floorboard? There seems to be enough clearance, but I've got to swing the pipe in. So I think for the sake of 2 bolts, I'm going to take that rear floorboard off. Because it's not a big job to take it on or off, just take off those bolts. Bike's brand new, so I'll have to find my Loctite. But in any case, not a big problem. That's our next step. So what we'll do is we'll take your 5/16 Allen head socket and start to pull off these
identifies people with great experience and invites them to try your job. In fact, 80% of employers. Knowing that's the only car you're ever going to have to it. And you that one's off.
Now we'll work on the driver's floorboard. Right down dirty here.
You have one body.
2 bolts. You probably can't see this, but
And your DNA. Order your 23andMe kit today at
same size, 5/16.
Now, little birdie told me that I'm the most loved spokesperson on radio.
And you can get on it.
Of course.
And like that, they come off.
I stopped working because he doesn't do that sitcom.
He's been working ever since.
He is working almost every night doing stand-up and writing new stand-up. Probably working more.
And he never took a break from stand-up.
No. So he thinks he retired.
But he didn't.
But he didn't. And then the invention of Twitter.
Okay, so all
his
the
own voice too. You know.
all the chrome shields are off. What we're gonna have to do next is go deep underneath the bike. Because what we want to remove is that crossover bracket, and then remove this crossover. So
They went to the connection with the
another pipe clamp here,
He started to believe he was a lady.
and remove that crossover.
Created
And it's held on to a bracket.
I mean, like all aspects of his.
I don't know if you can see these bolts here.
It got worse.
And
Just one, to the bracket.
as time went on, Ronnie got
Okay, well, with this 1/2-inch bolt out of that bracket, then it's just a matter of wiggling this crossover pipe out.
so anyway, I was telling him about how you were a master condition.
And the crossover's off.
I talked to him in the car.
I'll have to remove that heat shield.
Ronnie.
But we can do that. Oh.
Time should be tweeted already.
So we'll
You're doing her.
just remove the heat shields here.
Anybody, any face.
But you know what I mean.
No, I'm not. I didn't know.
Because there's a new crossover pipe with the Fullsac system.
You were so. How long have you been with her?
Now, you know, this one's flat. So clearly, the one that comes with the Fullsac system is a full diameter pipe. Oh, there it is. So it's just a matter of. I got to think that probably Fullsac will give me a different bracket because this one is shaped flat like the other ones. I'm not sure we're going to need to keep this, but we won't worry about that for now. Now, 1/2 inch. 1/2 inch. All right. I'm going to need a 1/2 inch wrench for sure. So I'm going to go loosen the front one on that side. So they're cracked loose. And I'll tell you, nothing is very tight. This bracket. That looks like an exhaust bolt. Okay, so that's just hanging on there right now. It's time to take this cover off. I haven't done that before. If it's like the other one, it should just pop off. And it does. We'll put this with the painted parts. So these are the 202 sensors. Cut these ties very carefully and fish these wires through. And that's it. The head pipe is off. I'm going to take these springs off, these flanges off, these O2 sensors off. And there's nothing to that really. All right, so the first thing I want to do is take off these O2 sensors. 14 millimeter. And they're not in very tight either. So this is the rear. This is the rear cylinder, and it's black. So I'm just going to mark this rear. Focus on getting these babies off. That takes in that ring when it's on. I gotta remember to do that in the right order. So here's the new head pipe from Fullsac, all bundled up, just got it out of the box. And it comes with a bunch of hardware. Let's take a look at what we got. Inside the parts that they send you, what do they got? Instructions, which I'll take a break and read just to be sure everything is good. Some clamps. More pipe clamps. That's the pipe clamps, obviously, to replace that one. And this is going to be the rear bracket, a different rear bracket. I got to figure out how that works. It's going to be a pipe clamp bracket. And I don't know what those are for. And those are bung, to plug up these bungs, so I'll get some anti-seize on those. And plug those ones up because I'm using the stock closed loop O2 sensors, but these are for the bigger, I believe, 18 millimeter open loop sensors if you were to use some other sort of tuner or for the O2 sensors, different O2 sensors. But I'm just going to unwind all this stuff and I'm going to start putting this thing back together. This is the clamp. It's a billet piece that they provide with for the crossover pipe. And these are oil pan bolts. So you replace 2 oil pan bolts in the bike and use these for that. Quite nice. And so we'll do this. We'll get these babies locked down. So an amount of no C's. Now we do the O2 sensors. According to the instructions, it says install the black O2 sensor to the rear cylinder and the gray to the front, which is what we remembered from when we took it apart. With a little anti-seize on it. Just get a little bit. I just want to put it on the threads. Nothing else. So the rear pipe, the black sensor, so I'll begin with the front one first. Tight. Yeah. Suppose we could fish these O2 sensors through now. So the O2 sensors are back in. I got a zip tied them. They were fished in exactly where they were. This is on. This is that. Time for a coffee. So here's where we are so far. The head pipe is on, torqued. Using a torque wrench, those head bolts have to be torqued to 130 inch-pounds. And along with that clamp, and as per the instructions, that head pipe is supposed to be torqued down before we move forward. Then, what we're working on now is underneath the bike, and I wished I had a lift, but the crossover pipe isn't on yet. There's a new bracket, so what you have to do is remove the 2 rear oil pan screws. Hard to see from any angle, but the 2 rear oil pan screws are removed, and then this bracket is put on, and they supply you with 2 longer oil pan screws that go through the bracket, holds the crossover pipe up. So that's what we're working on now, and unfortunately I can't record while I'm doing this. I've got the screws removed. Anyhow, I'll show you what the clamp looks like. So this is the crossover, just starting its travel underneath the bike, and this bracket here is attached to the new billet piece that they give you. That's the left side most rear, and then the one just in front of it on the left side of the bike of the oil pan screws. They're longer. little blue Loctite and 110 inch-pounds. And now we got to test fit the crossover and start assembling the pipes. It says you have to loosely put it on, get the brackets on, and then mount the muffler. So we've mounted the muffler. Then you push the muffler onto the pipe. Everything is loose. The crossover is loose from the other side. And then how the order matters. So first it's the crossover connector, then it's the muffler, then it's the hanger clamp, the pipe clamp, and then it's the hanger nut, which connects the hanger to the billet piece that they supply. And then you give it a buff. You put the factory chrome back on and the heat shield back on. And that muffler is, this left side of the bike is complete. Now, we work on the right side of the bike, putting the heat shields on and lining them up. And the rear muffler, the muffler on the right side. And we'll see how that goes. That would give you orientation for that, correct? Okay, so I'm sure you can see that some of the chrome heat shields are on. The heat shields from the front and rear pipe. Now, Fullsac gives you bigger clamps to go around this portion. And now's the task of lining everything up. A lift would sure make a difference. I could sit on my stool instead of on the ground. So a little Loctite blue. I know it's in a red bottle, but it's actually blue. That's that. She's complete. All the tins are on, running boards are back on, bags are back on. The only thing left to do is to start it and see how it sounds. It sounded horrible this morning, but let's see now. Shall we? Much better. Success. All that's left to do is to tune the bike, which we'll do at another time, and connect it to this video. But like I said, if I can do it, you can do it too.